Hello, this is my presentation on infectious diseases. Oops. So, yes, this is about viral, bacterial, fungal, and parasitic infections. Very nasty things indeed, by myself, of course. So, the first thing I'm going to be talking about is viral meningitis. Now, when most people hear meningitis, they think of the bacterial kind, but no, I decided to talk about viral meningitis. So, viral meningitis is actually kind of like a more mild version of the bacterial kind. It's not as hard to get rid of, and most of the time, people don't even know they have it. There's been no significant viral outbreaks, and it is caused by a non-polio enterovirus that will affect your brain, kind of like back here in your meninges, as you can see in that image over there. I can't imagine that would feel very nice. Around 10,000 people each year are diagnosed with viral meningitis, but most people actually never know they have it, so the number could be way higher than that, and people just don't go to the doctor because they don't know they have it. So here's some overview about viral meningitis. It's obviously transmitted by a non-polio enterovirus. There's a few different kinds that can transmit it, but only a few people that actually even get that enterovirus will become infected. And close contacts can spread, it's a virus, so you're gonna spread it like that, but really the chance is insignificant. Some headaches are some symptoms include headaches, obviously, a stiff neck, yeah, I could see that, fever, seizures, nausea, altered mental state, sleepiness, and lethargy, all sort of like head-related things, which brain, yeah, makes sense. And the disease is most prevalent in the fall and winter, as most diseases are. It affects children under 5 and people with weakened immune systems most severely, kind of like most other viruses. Healthy adults might never even realize that they have viral meningitis. So some treatment if you do get viral meningitis and it is kind of causing you problems, you kind of just have to wait it out. If it's super, super bad and you go to your doctor, you could be prescribed antiviral medication or just like admitted to the hospital and they'll take care of you there. But most of the times people just have to kind of wait it out. And there's no vaccine to prevent non-polio enteroviruses or, getting meningitis from one of those. So what you can do really is like wash your hands, stay clean, and stay away from people who you know have it. And that is my resource down at the bottom. My resources are all linked at the bottom if you are interested. Next, we're going to be talking about Lyme disease. Oof, Lyme disease. It's nasty. You see that little tick thing over there? Never want to have that. So Lyme disease is a bacterial infection, obviously spread by ticks. It was first identified in 1975 after an outbreak in Lyme, Connecticut. Funny, that's where it got its name from. So I didn't realize this was like such a recent disease because I've heard people talk about Lyme disease a lot, so that was really interesting to find out. A vaccine was released in 1997, and then it was removed from the market in 2001, and I couldn't find much documentation about why it was removed. Speculation was like that people kind of stopped getting Lyme disease, or not stopped getting it, but like it wasn't as severe of a problem anymore, and so they took it off the market because they didn't need it. I don't like to think that there was really malicious intent behind removing it. But yeah, and then approximately 350,000 people get diagnosed with Lyme disease annually just in the United States. So those are some pretty crazy numbers. So here's some overview. Lyme disease is caused by bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi that transmits through black-legged tick bites. So it's not super fun, kind of nasty. Some symptoms include fatigue, the kind of traditional circular target rash thing, joint pain, fever, headaches, swollen lymph nodes, and difficulty maintaining focus, all kind of, again, traditional disease symptoms. And then if you don't get treatment for Lyme disease, it can get worse, and then the infection's gonna get in your joints and stuff and be kind of achy, and you might get like some arthritic pain. So you definitely want to get Lyme disease. Like if you suspect that you've been bitten by a tick, you want to get that checked out. The disease is most prevalent in the northeastern part of the United States, sort of like New England, Connecticut, where it was first discovered, obviously. That part of the United States, and then in Central Europe. Lyme disease can be found anywhere that the black-legged tick is, obviously because the black-legged tick is what spreads Lyme disease. So treatment if you have Lyme disease depends on how long you receive it after you've been bitten. In the early stages, some simple antibiotics can pretty much do away with it. Like, you're not going to be super sick from it. But if you wait a really long time to get treatment, you can actually end up with some nasty stuff, and you might even get post-treatment Lyme disease, or PTLD, I think they called it. And that's a condition where symptoms like persist. Like, so you get treatment, but then for 6 months after you receive treatment, you're still sick, and it's kind of this like weird, I don't know, I feel like that would be awful just living that. And then obviously preventing tick bites is the only way to avoid getting Lyme disease. Nobody wants to be bit by ticks. Those things are nasty. And so avoid areas where ticks are common, and if you go there, you might want to wear like long sleeves, long pants, I don't know, bug spray might work. And then you want to check for ticks, definitely, if you know that you've been exposed, because yikes. So now we're going to talk about ringworm. Fungal infections. Yeah, they're not super pleasant to look at. So ringworm actually kind of looks like Lyme disease, but it's more of a rash. Or I mean, Lyme disease, it's like, I don't know, there's a distinction. So ringworm is not in fact a worm living beneath your skin, as some people might think, but it's just like a fungal infection that's been around for a super, super long time. It rose to popular attention in the mid-19th century, specifically because a lot of school-aged children were getting it, and people were like, what is up with this? And it is unknown how many people suffer ringworm each year, because most occurrences go unreported. Like, if your 9-year-old kid gets ringworm after soccer practice, you're just gonna put like some cream on it and forget about it. You're not gonna always take them to the doctor or something, I don't know. So ringworm is a fungal infection that affects the skin, obviously, and it is most commonly transmitted by skin-to-skin contact. So that fungus infection nastiness is just going to spread from your skin over to somebody else's skin, usually in like a contact sport, especially like kids in PE, that sort of stuff. And it can also happen like animals can get it, and objects who have been like touched by the fungal infection area can also hold it for a while and spread it maybe. Some of the symptoms are like the iconic ring-shaped rash. It can be anywhere on the body, so that's kind of nasty. And I believe that when it's other places on the body, it's called other things. Like if it's on your foot, it's athlete's foot and that sort of thing. You're going to be itchy there, and it's going to be kind of like raised, bumpy skin, typical rash. The disease is most prevalent and very recognized in school-aged children. Antifungal ointments and treatments are, of course, the primary treatments for ringworm. That's kind of how you get rid of fungal infections. And then you prevent getting ringworm by just like avoiding physical contact with people who have it. If you go to like hug somebody and you see that they've got this nasty ringworm on their arm, maybe you don't hug them. Stay clean, wash your hands, and also like just don't let kind of genuinely gross people borrow your stuff. The last disease that we're going to be talking about today is malaria. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of malaria. It makes headlines very regularly, or at least like I always see it being talked about. And malaria is a parasitic disease. It's kind of nasty. Mosquitoes spread it. They spread these little tiny parasites, get into your blood. Not a super fun situation. The malaria parasite was first identified in 1880, but like identified doesn't mean the beginning of it. It wasn't created in 1880 or whatever, but that's just when people first started recognizing like, oh, this is the parasite that's causing this horrible disease in people. And it's got a really high mortality rate, which means it kills a lot of people if they don't get treatment for it. And malaria is also known for devastating the economy and the population of developing nations, specifically Africa, sort of like sub-Saharan right below there, where it's kind of all, I don't know, rainforesty, and yeah, not a super fun situation. A lot of mosquitoes. Approximately 240 million people become infected annually, and I believe that the annual death rate is somewhere around like 600,000 people. In Africa mostly, because that's where the most deadly variant exists. So here's the malaria overview. Malaria is transmitted through bites from an infected female that species mosquito. That specific parasite will enter the liver and then grow in number until they begin to affect the red blood cells. And the most fatal species of parasite that spreads malaria is also the one most prevalent in Africa. Pretty awful. Some symptoms include severe chills, fever, sweating, headache, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, muscle convulsions, and occasionally, unfortunately, death. So malaria is most prevalent in Africa south of the Sahara, South Asia, and parts of Central and South America, basically all super damp kind of mosquito places. Yeah. So treatment for malaria is most effective when the disease is recognized early, like really early, because especially if you're getting like some of the more severe variants, you've got like limited time to get some stuff in you. And then there have been specific malaria drugs created depending on which species of parasite is causing the disease. And the best way to prevent getting malaria is to prevent mosquito bites. So, kind of the same thing with ticks, but a little bit easier because I mean, like, mosquitoes, ticks, different things. So, you can wear mosquito repellent, wear long clothing when you're outside or in mosquito areas, put screens on your windows and doors so mosquitoes don't get in. If you're like opening your screens or leaving your door open in the summer, you want something to close it. And then you can put mosquito nets over beds because then you won't get bit while you sleep. And then in some cases, if you're traveling to a malaria prone area, your doctor might even prescribe you a drug that will prevent malaria, or not necessarily entirely prevent it, but it can like help you or buy you more time. I don't know. It's a pretty neat thing. And so now we're going to go to my takeaways. So, the research that I did for this presentation taught me that there is actually a lot of serious diseases in the world that we still don't have really great solutions for. I know we live in a super technologically advanced world compared to like even 2 decades ago, even. Um, and it's still crazy to think that with all of our technology and knowledge, that there isn't solutions for every single disease, and that there's still so many people being affected by these seemingly easy to fix problems. And then we have my second takeaway, which is that illnesses of all kinds can be transmitted in a variety of ways. This disproportionately affects regions of the world that are less developed because they do not have the infrastructure to protect themselves or to treat their sick people. I mean, that's pretty self explanatory. Think of like second, third world countries. My final takeaway is that hygiene is the single most important factor in preventing disease and death from disease, yet it remains a luxury. That's kind of a sad thing to think about, that like living in our world, access to clean water to drink, access to water to wash your hands in, showering, bathing, all that stuff, is a pretty common thing. I mean, even with COVID, personal hygiene is like the most important thing ever, basically, that everybody's been harping on about. And it's just sad that so many people don't have access to it. Yeah, that is my presentation. Obviously, I am not a digital artist, nor am I interested in graphic design, so I did not actually make all of the little tidbits and cool things on these slides. Credit there. Yes, I'm not going to be a bad person and delete the credit slide. So, thank you for watching my presentation, and I guess this has gone way longer than I thought it would. Oops. But, hope it was good. Bye.